Welcome to the Deerwood Realty YouTube channel. I'm John Schink, founder and manager of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. Tonight's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to look at an article, and I've sort of felt this with my buyers, and that is the feeling of wishing for a recession, just so that you can afford to buy a house. We'll kind of go over it and we'll talk about it, and I have some thoughts at the end. But let's get into the article. Here it is. It showed up on Yahoo. I've got a link to the article in my description. And we'll just go through it. It says, the situation is dire. Nearly 2/3 of potential home buyers would welcome a recession if it meant lower mortgage rates, but here's what they're missing. And I totally get this. I totally get this sentiment. It's very fascinating here. It says, with mortgage rates creeping into the 8% mark and home prices still high, many potential buyers are sitting on the sidelines until their prospects improve. Now, look, these buyers can't do anything about this, right? I mean, the rates are up. They either buy a very expensive house right now or hope to find one that's more affordable later. Problem with that is the house prices keep going up, which makes it even worse due to inflation. It says, the situation has become so unsustainable that 64% say they wouldn't even mind a recession if it helped them better afford a home by lowering mortgage rates, according to a Credit Karma study. So now you're wishing for bad things to happen so that you can benefit. Schadenfreude. Fascinating. Just wild. So it says, when a majority of potential homebuyers are wishing for a recession so they can afford a mortgage, you know the situation is dire. And all I would say is I'm uncomfortable with the framing of this in the sense is, were there other options in the survey? So could you have said, I hope that they build more houses so that prices go down, or something? Did it have to go on the misery of others, right? Or do they not realize that you need a recession is going to be hurting someone? It says, although prospective buyers are feeling desperate, a recession could bring other changes to the economy that could potentially impede home ownership as well. And that's kind of where I'm at. And that's where I was this past summer, where my buyers were like, hey, we'll just buy the house right now. We don't care that the rate is high. We'll just refinance down the road when things get better. And I'm like, usually things don't get better. Like, rates don't go down because things have gotten better. Like, normally that's because something bad is going to happen. And something bad usually has something to do with employment, which you don't wish for someone to lose their job. Although we probably do now. I don't think it's appropriate, but I think that's the way things are. It's just kind of the world we live in. It says roughly 82% of respondents in the Credit Karma survey conducted by the Harris poll say the country is grappling with an unprecedented housing affordability crisis, and another 3 in 5 who've never bought a home don't think they'll ever be able to do so. Now, look, I think this is a little bit off. Okay, so the 3 in 5, I don't believe you're thinking things through, to be honest. The idea that you could not afford a house in your entire life is not reasonable. I mean, if you have a job at some point and you save, at some point something will go right for you. Okay, it's just not right now. So I'm not really comfortable with that idea. And then 82% of people thinking that this is an unprecedented housing affordability crisis. Well, I don't feel like it's unprecedented at all. There are times in the market where it's very expensive to buy, and then there's times in the market where it's less expensive to buy. We're in one of those situations where it's expensive, but it's not unprecedented. I think that's overdone. Unprecedented? It says, but is a recession really part of the answer? While the Fed's been raising rates to combat persistent inflation in a recession, the opposite usually occurs to encourage more spending. So lowering interest rates. And there's nothing wrong with people saying, I hope the interest rates go down so that I can afford to buy a house. That's fine. It's just the problem where you hope that there's a recession, which is kind of sad. Hopefully you can tell how I'm distinguishing that. It says, and when interest rates fall, you can expect mortgage rates to follow, meaning buyers may be able to secure mortgages with cheaper monthly payments. But that doesn't necessarily increase the availability of homes for sale, which has been quite low for a while. And with lower supply, you can expect prices to stay high as well. So let's try to go over what I think is true and what everyone else is saying. Okay. So what everyone else is saying is exactly this. There is a limited supply of homes available for sale, and that even if there is a lowering of interest rates, you will still have a lower supply and prices will stay high. I counter that by saying that you've got millions and millions of investor-owned single-family homes in the United States. 25% of the entire supply is owned by some sort of organization, some sort of corporate structure. If those guys are feeling the hurt, they're going to dump the houses, okay? And that's where I think that there's what we would call shadow inventory. Now, I can't prove it. I'm just saying this is the difference. This is the difference in philosophy that I have versus what's presented in the article and what would be considered the mainstream argument. We just need more houses. My argument is we've got plenty of houses, okay? It's just a question of who owns them. There are simply not enough homes for sale, Lawrence Yoon, NAR, National Association of Realtors chief economist, said this summer. The market can easily absorb a doubling of inventory. It can absorb a tripling, a quadrupling. I don't know the other ones. Sextupling? I don't know which one that is. But I'm just telling you, like, you can have lots and lots of supply come to the market, and it may lower prices over time, but you're not building that many houses that fast to cause that to happen. And it's weird. It says the market can easily absorb, the market should be able to absorb every single house built. I mean, in all honesty, in fact, I would argue that people can afford houses, or they could afford houses for the past, 5 years, 7 years, to be able to turn them into rentals, okay? So those people obviously could afford to buy more than one house. It's also crucial to keep in mind that during a recession, employment typically goes through a slump as well. In that case, you can reasonably expect more layoffs and pay cuts, which could mean some hopeful buyers may not be able to afford or even secure a mortgage. Well, that's just right. And that's the problem, is when you're cheering on a recession, you're kind of cheering on, at the same time, people losing their jobs, people having economic hardship. And in a way, I don't want to wish that, right? I can wish, again, for affordable housing. I can wish that somebody can afford a house, right? I can hope that the median price of a single-family home in the United States goes down, and that more people can afford homes. It's just the issue of is like we don't really want to root for a recession, I don't think, because now you're starting to wish bad on people. And I can understand you'd probably say, well, that's not me, I don't care. So that's your opinion. According to the survey, nearly 2 in 5 respondents said they'd be willing to take on a side gig or restrict or stop spending on a non-essential purchases if it would improve their chances. Some said they'd lock in a mortgage at higher rates in hopes that they can refinance later if rates go down, and others are considering getting an adjustable rate mortgage instead, which usually comes with a lower rate but resets periodically depending on a certain economic benchmarks like the Fed rate. Now look, I think adjustable rate mortgages are horrible. I think your best bet, if you have to buy a house now, is to actually buy a home at the higher mortgage rate and hope to refinance later. Okay? That's what I think. I think my biggest concern with buyers right now is they lock in a price, they lock in a mortgage at 8%. Home prices go down over time to the point that when they're trying to refinance, because the economy is dark, they are going to be stuck in a negative equity situation, actually have to bring money to the table to get a lower rate. That would be my biggest fear, and it's one that I do have. It does keep me up at night. As far as getting an adjustable rate mortgage, look, the spread on an adjustable rate mortgage versus a conventional mortgage isn't that much, 100 basis points maybe. It isn't worth the risk, in my opinion. It never will be, because I was around during 2008, and it just isn't a great plan. It says if you are even moving in with family or friends for the first time to build up savings, or are putting important life events like getting married or having kids on hold. Now, I've always said that most of the buying comes from people that are having life events. Someone being born, right? Someone getting married, right? As for the sales, it's someone passing away. And that's the majority of houses I see right now are houses that either the person has passed away and lived in the house for 30 years and not made any updates, or a divorce. It's not like inventory that's like, we just moved up to a better house. And we talked about that, moving in with your family. I find that to be terrible in the sense that the economy is so bad that you have to make these concessions just to be able to afford a home. And then it says there are other options when it comes to investing in real estate without buying a physical property as well. Now, this is where I thought the article kind of went off the rails. Now, we're talking about home buyers being able to buy a home, right? It's a physical home, a single family home. And then it goes, for example, you could buy shares in rental homes and vacation rentals for a much smaller minimal investment compared to purchasing a home. Well, that's not getting me in the door of a house. That's getting me pieces of paper. It says, or you could look into commercial real estate and own shares of institutional quality properties leased by major retailers. What in the world are these people, have they not seen what's gone on in the commercial market recently? It's a bloodbath, absolute bloodbath. Why in the world would you consider buying commercial paper at this time? Just makes no sense to me. But anyway, let me know what you think. Seriously, do you think that it's okay to wish for a recession? If you don't know the consequences, or you don't know what should end up happening, say you have no idea and you didn't really know what a recession means, so that can see then. But if you did know, are you really hoping that others will lose their jobs and encounter economic hardships so that you can buy a home? I would just be interested to know. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.